I'd like to welcome them to the stage.
Sit or stand?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to turn now to you, Senator, my good friend from Kenya. You're very well known in circles on the African continent. You're very active in the regional things that are happening as it relates to the IGF. Can you help us kind of take us through what are you seeing as kind of the emerging threats in Kenya, and kind of what are the countermeasures that you're taking to this point?
Thank you very much. First, to say that Kenya has embraced matters relating to digital technology in a profound way. We recognize that this is where the world is headed, not just on actually all democratic matters, including both politics and development. Mm-hmm. So Kenya has kind of anticipated this, and I would want to say that we have a good legal framework that currently supports the growth of internet and digital technological advances. We have a very facilitative constitution that protects freedoms of expression, the right to access information, but also provides for protection of human rights. It is very strong on human rights. It also provides for protection of consumer rights. Mm-hmm. As a result, we have a number of laws that actually guide or regulate issues relating to matters, internet and digital technology. We have the Computer Misuse and Cyber Protection Act. We have the Data Protection Act. We have the Media Council Act. Mm. We have the Copyrights Act that protects intellectual property. And we have the National Cohesion and Integration Act that set up a commission to deal with matters relating to hate speech. Mm-hmm. But we still have challenges when it comes to misinformation and disinformation using the social medias. Mm-hmm. And we don't have a law that specifically addresses misinformation and disinformation, not because the law is somewhere and needs to quickly come. As you will appreciate from the conversations we've had since this morning, hitting the balance between protection of human rights and regulating, and also allowing innovation to to progress unhinged, is something that is beyond legislation, is something that sometimes is beyond the politics of the day. Because as politicians, a lot of the misuse, the disinformation and misinformation is particularly during electoral times. Yes. And for us in Kenya, every time is election time. We actually finish elections today, and the next day we are competing for the next, we are already campaigning. So there is a lot of disinformation, use of hate speech in our part of the country, or a part of our, where our country is. We have been, or we have suffered post-election violence following hate speech that was that used negative ethnicity. And that's how we came up with the Cohesion Commission. But now with matters digital technology, we've had a lot of misinformation that is used by politically competing groups to actually use demonizing language, misinformation around maybe national policies that are happening to try and demonize a government, or information to try and demonize an opposition leader. And it's happening to a stage where it's ending up in violence. And I would want to say that our challenge really is on how we can regulate that without looking as if we are overcorrecting or over-enforcing. There is also the challenge of the possibility of abuse of office, misuse by government of some of the privileges. How would we use, for instance, surveillance around matters, digital content, to the advantage of the government and to abuse rights of opponents, political opponents. So I would say we have a good legislative framework, not complete enough in the sense that we still have to find ways of protecting rights, including rights of children. I think we have a lot of access for children on the internet that is actually harming their health, including matters relating to pornography and so on. Now, we would need to think through to find out how do we, beyond the Kenyan parliament and Kenyan legislation, how would we think through a violator that is situated in another jurisdiction? What kind of conversation can we have in forums like the IGF to ensure that beyond national legislation, we are able to come up whether with its codes of conduct that would, one, hold accountable those in charge of these platforms, as well as ensure that the freedom to advance in digital technology happens. There is also, when you're talking about human rights, we also need to think about, beyond the issue of information and disinformation, how do we include more people? In our area, I think one of the things we need to do is have greater investment. Beyond regulation, we need to give some financial investment in the necessary public digital infrastructure that would see those in rural areas to equally participating in the benefits of the digital space and technology, to see more women participating in this space, to see more other vulnerable and minority groups participating in this space. So as a country, I believe beyond protecting against disinformation, there is the issue of also inclusion, which is a human rights issue that we need to look at. So as we discuss this issue, beyond just discussing the regulation, we need to discuss how best to invest more in order for more people to participate in this space.
Well, let me just say that hats off to all the work that you're doing in Kenya, because as you listed a long list of laws that you've been able to implement. So that's progress, right? Obviously, you made the point clear that there's still more progress to be done. But I think that Kenya's in the right direction. They're going in the right direction, and I commend you guys for that. So we've talked an array of different areas in terms of what we're doing, within our governments, the challenges that we're facing. What else, we'll start back with you, Senator, but what are the other gaps that we're missing, right? I think there's room there where we can recognize the existing challenges that are there, but are there areas that we're not focusing on, maybe that could help us kind of bring this together? And then the second piece of that is that on the non-legislative side, right, are there areas where we can collaborate? Obviously, the IGF is a great platform, right? But are there other areas that we could be doing on an international front, right? Because we're looking at it from a domestic lens, right, to make sure that we come together. So I'll start with you.
Thank you very much. Now, because we are parliamentarians, I have noticed that we tend to focus on the impact of technology in the political space. But I would want us to think broader and imagine the innovation in the health sector, for instance, with digital technology. How will telemedicine look like? And how should Parliament anticipate the possibilities of human rights violations with advancement of digital technology in the health sector? And therefore, how would that law look like? So we should not be fixated with a particular law that would deal with matters digital technology. We need to think broadly to see, would we need to look at the laws in the health sector? Do we need to tweak something in the health sector, in the water sector, in the other sectors, so that we know the dangers that we are seeing now around democratic spaces could actually extend and have even more profound implications to the common person. So we need to think broadly around that and agree on how best to deal with this. So I think laws on digital technology are not about a particular legislation. It's cross-border, and we need to think beyond this and allow our professionals in all sectors to help us think around this. Now, when it comes to thinking on what to do internationally and nationally, first to thank the IGF for the proactive way in which they are actually moving this agenda and getting us to learn and also discuss more within their forums. In the Africa space, we have, African parliamentarians have actually taken the liberty to form the African Parliamentary Caucuses, the Africa-wide, in West Africa, in East Africa, so that we can actually compare notes and know that what happens in Tanzania will affect us, in Kenya will affect those in Malawi, will affect those in Nigeria. So we need to start borrowing from each other and listening to each other and learning to grow on this. And beyond legislation, we need to find out how the mechanisms we have in place could be built upon to do. Somebody in the morning talked about a mechanism for auditing information. How would that look like? Kenya has the Data Commission Protection, the Data Protection Commissioner. It also has the Media Council. Should we add onto their mandate some more clauses that will help us to monitor the area better? Do we need maybe an African Union or East African Community mechanism that will help us to check the situation further? So there is all these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the issue, I think it was the first question about what can Parliament do about electoral laws and electoral systems where there is misuse of technology, I guess, for rigging elections. My view is that a good electoral system is largely dependent on the electoral management body. Because for the fraud to happen, whether with AI or any other, it usually will take place with some collusion by people within the electoral management board. So whether it is through the person they procure to carry out the elections, whether it is through their own IT systems, and Kenya has usually gone to the Supreme Court to discuss the issue of manipulation of the transmission of elections, the electronic transmission of the presidential results. And we've had issues where, for instance, the last election, the electoral management body completely refused to open the servers to audit the electoral system that transmitted the results. So I believe it's not so much the technology as is a corrupt set of minds that are behind this whole thing. And I believe if electoral management bodies remained neutral, then elections, whether digitally driven or not, will remain credible.
Thank you.